Hello everyone, my name is Kirsten Tingle and today I will be discussing shin splints and long jumpers. The objectives of this video are to discuss what shin splints are and where they are, discuss the mechanisms that result in pain associated with shin splints, discuss the treatment and rehabilitation of shin splints, and discuss prevention of future injury. To begin, we're going to locate where the pain is normally associated with shin splints. And shin splints are also known as medial tibial stress syndrome, or they can be known as lateral tibial stress syndrome, depending on the muscle that is being pulled away from the bone. So in these photos, you can see that we're going to be focusing on the tibia or the shin bone. The tibialis posterior, which runs all along that tibia on the medial or inside of the leg. And then to the right, there are just other muscles of the leg so that you can have a reference point of just how much musculature is in the lower leg. So injury and mechanism of shin splints can be caused by repeated jumping, can be caused by the anterior or posterior muscles being pulled away from the tibia, be caused by the foot positioning when you land or when you walk in general, and it can also be caused by your foot wall. Now, in the bottom two photos, you can see that we have highlighted some redness around the tibia and that shin bone from the previous picture. And you can see there are two types of shin splints. There are anterior shin splints and posterior shin splints, and posterior shin splints are also referred to as medial shin splints. And you can see on the right, what's happening is that muscle, the posterior, is being pulled on every time you use it, and it's pulling on the periosteum, or that very outer membrane of the tibia, which is causing pain and inflammation. So treatment for shin splints includes RICE, which I'll explain, massage of that area, foam rolling in that area if you can bear it, stretching definitely, and taping if you still need to continue training. You can see in the picture there are also insoles as an option, and active rest, which is again getting back into your activity, but slowly. So diving into the treatment methods, there's RICE, which is rest, ice, compression, and elevation. And these are just the basic terms and basic methods used to reduce inflammation and reduce pain. So you want to rest for 48 hours or just rest until the pain is decreased. You want to ice every so often, so especially when you get seen for the first time and diagnosed with shin splints, they're going to put a bag of ice on your leg and tell you to go rest. And elevate your leg, which is the last one, the E. Compression also helps, and they make compression socks. You could be compressed by tape. You can put compression sleeve, all these different methods. And then the elevation just helps to get the blood flow back towards the heart so that it can pump fresh blood into that area and hopefully speed up the recovery process. Massage is another option for treatment, and in this video, you're going to see a couple of methods for relieving tension, increasing blood flow, and relieving pain in the area. So going into the video, I'm going to go to that time 2 minutes. And you'll see that she's starting to get the leg warm, which is important, getting blood flow in that area so that all this massage is worth it. And this part is not so fun, speaking from experience, but she's taking that thumb and finding the tibialis posterior muscle along that shin bone and pushing down into it and trying to get out any knots and get out any tension. And this can increase inflammation for a short time, but in increasing inflammation, it is also increasing blood flow, which will eventually lead to pain relief. You can see she's also going into the toes, and then she goes into pressing while extending the leg, which is again a form of massage where it's stretching out that muscle while she's compressing, so it's pushing out any knots and again increasing blood flow. So we're going to move into the next section of treatment, which is foam rolling. And foam rolling is really nice because it's a self technique and you get to decide your own pressure. It's also not very time consuming. So you can see this video, it says 2 minutes of foam rolling for shin splints, and I'm going to start a few seconds in. But she shows you how to roll for just 2 minutes. And you do it on both legs. So it's 2 minutes one leg, 2 minutes on the other. But if you just need to do the leg that you have pain in because you're in a rush, You can do this so you roll on the posterior side first, and you just roll back and forth, and you can put more weight, you can put the other foot on top, and you put more weight and bear more weight down on that foam roller, which will push deeper into the muscles. You can roll into the inside, which is where we'd want to be for medial tibial stress syndrome. And the point is to really get the inside of the shin to try to roll up that muscle. And then this is just like massage, except for it's a roller, so it's just up and down. Very simple. You can roll to the outside. Again, this is to just get those muscles stretching out. And you can roll on the front, which again would be really helpful for shin splints but you don't want to necessarily focus on staying on the bone because that's not helpful, but you want to focus on staying on the muscles around the bone. The next part of treatment is stretching, and stretching should be done not necessarily if you have an injury, but it also really helps recovering from an injury because it gives you back that range of motion and also activates the muscles surrounding the one that's injured. So to the right, you're going to see a picture of some stretches that are going to hit the calf and shin, the anterior leg, and they're really going to work on some range of motion. So in the towel stretch, you're going to be working on the posterior lower leg by pulling the toes towards the head, and you'll feel that stretch in the back of the leg. Standing calf stretch, again, you're going to feel on the back of the leg, but you can also feel on the front of the leg if you push the front knee towards the wall. Anterior compartment stretch is to get more of the quadriceps, but it also is going to pull on the knee and the muscles that attach right under the knee to give you that stretch. Resisted ankle dorsiflexion is very similar to the towel stretch, except for now you're actively pulling a resistance band back towards your head. Ankle range of motion, like people drawing the alphabet with their toes, helps with strengthening and stability in the ankle, which can help with shin pain. And heel raises are going to help stretch and strengthen the back and front of the leg. Another form of treatment that not everybody follows is taping, and kinesiology tape or K-tape has become really popular for shin splints as well as other injuries like bruises or muscular pain. So you can see to the right there, the top photo, there are many, many methods of taping for shin splints. It goes from very simple to very complicated depending on the pain. But down the bottom, you'll see the most common form of taping for shin splints, where they run one piece from the bottom of the leg up towards the knee and then secure it with two more pieces. And this helps to pull that muscle back towards the bone, or it's supposed to, and then hold it there so that it doesn't pull away from the periosteum and cause pain. Now that we've gotten through treatment, and treatment is meant to decrease pain and give some more range of motion and strengthening, rehabilitation is again focused on strengthening and preventing reoccurrence of injury. As always, it is important to remember that every person is different, every person's injury and location is going to be different. So here are some exercises for the ankles and for the calves to increase strength in the low leg to hopefully prevent the reoccurrence of shin splints. In this top video, we're going to see a young lady just doing heel-toe walks where she lands on her heel and dorsiflex all the way through and just keep shifting her weight in that way. And this, you can see the back of her legs are activating as well as stretching out the front leg by raising that toe up into dorsiflexion. In the second video, you're going to see a young lady standing on a step. You could do this on any step, and you want to press up into plantar flexion with the toes facing down like a ballerina, and then let your weight help push your heel down towards the floor into a set form of dorsiflexion, which will get some stretch as well as strengthening back into the low leg. Finally, raises with weight. And you can see she has weights in either hand, and she's simply pushing up into plantar flexion and dropping back, and you can see the muscles are activating in her low leg. So rehabilitation follows treatment, and you should be pain-free before you try to return to full activity. It's important to wear proper shoes, and you can see there's a photo of different kinds of shoes for different forms of activity. So finding shoes that are best suited to your form of activity will help decrease the reoccurrence or the rate of reoccurrence of shin splints. Cross training, or that strengthening that we were just showing you, is also really helpful for preventing shin splints. You can see there's a young lady in the pool, and that is one method of rehabilitation while you're undergoing treatment for pain relief, because it doesn't put the same kind of pressure on the low leg. It is important to remember to return slowly to full activity and not to rush it, because then you can end up causing a stress fracture in the lower leg and the tibia, which takes even longer to heal and results in you being non-weight bearing and being put in a boot and all kinds of other extra items that you wouldn't need if you would just take your rehabilitation seriously the first time and progress slowly back into your activity. It is important to remember always with rehabilitation that no two people are the same. No two rehabilitation plans are going to work the exact same way with the different people. And it is always important to remind your patients that their progress is not going to be the same as someone else's progress. Here are my resources, and I wanted to thank you all for tuning into this video today. I hope you learned something that you can take away and hopefully prevent shin splints and medial tibial stress syndrome.